Hi, everyone. My name is John Faulkner, and I'm your host of the Smarter Systems Better Care podcast. I'm here today with Breanna Champion Wybara. She's a holistic nurse coach, CEO of Champion Health and Wellness, and dedicated advocate for whole person healing and root cause medicine. Welcome to the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. Okay, so my background, I actually started out thinking I was going to be a psychologist. So I got my undergrad in psychology from UCSD, and then I decided my senior year, no, I actually want more hands-on care. And so I shifted gears and went into nursing and became a nurse. Got my master's in nursing. And yeah, so then I decided I really, really liked the holistic aspect of things. And that's what led me into what I'm doing today.
Is there anything in particular in the holistic medicine that you're really passionate about?
Oh, for sure. So what really I guess spearheaded me down this path was my own personal experiences with physicians. So while I was in college, I was having recurrent like UTI or like yeast type of infections. I think it happens to a lot of women where these symptoms come up and then the doctors just treat the symptoms. And so things would come back negative, but they kept just treating the symptoms with medication and not really helping me get to the root of it. And so I was on this quest for almost 10 years of like, what's happening with me? And it was when I met one doctor finally, she's like, oh, this is easy. I can help you fix this. And it was pelvic floor therapy just to help relax the pelvic floor because I was really tense. So everything was like really tight, lifted. And so just being able to have that therapy, all my symptoms went away. And it was just a really like wonderful thing to finally find somebody who was helping me get to the root of my problem. So that helped me. That always stuck with me. And then when I got into nursing in the hospital, I worked in trauma and I just saw the revolving door and that people weren't really being treated as a whole person. And so I was getting really disenchanted with everything. And then I left, and my own personal experience mixed with that really sent me down this path to help people truly get to the root of what was going on with them and offer whole healing. So, yes, most definitely. I love the holistic aspect of being able to really help somebody achieve their health and wellness goals. Yeah, so I utilize functional nursing, and that's probably a new concept for a lot of people, but it's where you blend the science and the soul. And I think that nursing in general is just really great at that. But functional nursing helps get to that on a deeper level with the root cause. So we help high achieving women that are struggling with like burnout, fatigue, mood imbalances, really get to the core of what's going on. So a lot of times it's uncovering things like, are they having gut issues? Are they having nutrient deficiencies, nervous system dysregulation? So within that container of functional nursing, they have access to advanced labs, mindset coaching. They have access to sleep studies, just really trying to get as much data on that science side, but with the coaching and support of the soul on that side. So it's very personal and personalized care.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And is there any specific trends you're noticing today in the industry as far as maybe like the couple issues that you keep seeing again and again?
Yeah, I think that leaders, they don't really realize the demand for the prevention and the personalized care. So they offer patients quick fixes, but the patients I think are becoming more savvy, especially if they have access to so much information these days and going, no, there's something more going on. And I think they're tired of having their symptoms and things that are going on dismissed. And they don't want just that quick fix. They really want to get to the why of what's going on. And that's
Yeah.
where functional nursing comes in.
And where do you, as like a founder, where do you spend your most time, like most energy right now as you're growing?
Wow. I feel like my energy is so split. I think it's split between trying to get the word out there of what functional nursing is and how it can help people transform their lives and just making the time, I think, for my own
Yeah.
personal, like well being at the same time while I'm helping others. Yeah. So just try to balance, yeah, all those aspects.
Yeah. There's always a lot going on, especially when you got kids as
Not bad,
well.
got kids. Yeah.
And then, how have you adapted to like these industry shifts? It sounds like you're creating like this new niche of functional nursing.
Mhm.
What are things that most leaders are not paying enough attention to right now that you've noticed?
I think that, like I said, that they're not paying attention to that like personalization aspect of the
Yeah,
care,
more
and then just
customized.
like the prevention. Like these patients, they don't want to be told, "Here, take this, and everything's going to be fine." They're like, "No, why does this keep happening? I don't want to be on this medicine all my whole life. Like, how do I actually get well?" So I think, yeah, that's what they're missing.
That piece in the puzzle. Yeah.
So
And then how have you adapted, within your own business? Just curious to hear your thoughts.
yeah, so I think it's a constant evolution, and I'm trying to adapt with just being a virtual practice right now and trying to maybe break into a hybrid model because I really do enjoy the personalization of having hands-on interactions with patients. And so for me, it's trying to blend that, like the data collection, the apps and the different like AI and all this technology that's integrated and be able to utilize that in a way that doesn't take away from the personalization or the like connection that you have with your patient. So it's trying to be able to blend all that and make those back end things support in a way that's not challenging for patients or a headache or like too much noise. Yeah.
Yeah, making it worse
More
in a
streamlined. Yeah.
sense. Yeah. And what happens if businesses ignore like the back end, like you're talking about, those processes? What could happen with your patients, or maybe even things you've experienced personally?
Yeah, I think that if patients have a difficult time interfacing with like the EMR, the electronic medical record system, then that's a turnoff for them. So it's a challenge. They're already in a state of, probably high anxiety, frustration, and just one more obstacle to them is enough for them to just be like, I don't want to
Give
deal
up.
with this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So trying to mitigate that as much as possible so that they don't have those, unnecessarily challenges in their already like storm of their, health issues.
Yeah. And when you look at like even your day to day operations, where do things feel clunky still, or kind of slower than you'd like to see when working with your patients?
I think the clunky thing that I'm still working out is the response time. So if somebody messages that they're interested, is having a better automation of getting that information and responding to them in a more timely way so that they don't feel that I'm ignoring them. So that's one of my biggest challenges right now is
Trying to catch up.
setting up some of the automations. Yeah.
And this is kind of a unique question as well, because I notice some specialty practices, some specialties, patients reach out at different times of the day for help. It may be the middle of the night. Do you notice trends like that when people are reaching out?
People, I haven't noticed a specific trend. I noticed that people, yeah, are just reaching out at all times. And so I'm only going to operate, in a certain block of time. And so I want it to be set up better that they get a response that makes them feel heard and supported immediately so that they're not frantically trying to, yeah, find somebody who can help them.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that
I
makes
haven't
sense.
noticed a specific trend, but yeah.
Yeah. And how are you handling those things? Like, maybe someone reaches out to you to engage for the first time. You have a new patient intake. Do things fall through the cracks throughout that process, or like what does that look like in a functional nursing space when you're working with patients?
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I feel like it does. If I'm not able to respond to somebody in, like I said, a timely manner, then I feel like they are less likely to follow through on a consult.
Yeah,
So they're not going to get the help that they could possibly get if we were able to connect. And that makes me feel bad as a nurse and as a health practitioner that I'm not, supporting them when they need it.
yeah. And take us through like the patient intake process in through your business. So what does that look like?
Yeah, so I like to have a like 15-20 minute consult, totally complimentary. This way we can see if we vibe. Do we think that we can work together and really achieve something great? And if it's a yes on both parties, then we move to the next phase. And that's where we decide how severe is your health challenge right now. Is this something that is going to take us a few months to work through? And I find that it's usually the case, usually about a 3 to 5 month container to work with somebody to really get them to be championing their own health. And so we do a really in-depth intake, a very holistic intake, one that is usually about an hour long. And if needed to, I will extend that out, to a 90-minute if the
Yeah.
person has a really significant health challenge. And so we'll talk about, when this issue first started, how are your relationships, how are the dynamics within your family or romantic relationships work. So everything,
Yeah.
emotional, mental, physical, everything to really understand what we're working with
Yeah,
so
it
that
sounds
we
like a
can.
pretty comprehensive process. And when do you see like that light bulb moment when when a person is talking to you and they like get what you do and how you can help them? Like, can you kind of describe that moment?
Yeah, I think that because it's such a new thing and people are curious about it. So then once we're talking and they're experiencing the functional nursing for themselves. They're like, wow, this person really is creating a safe space for me and I can share all of the things and they want to hear what I'm saying. They're not like watching their clock or like going, okay, that's enough and moving on. So I think that they get really excited, probably within, the first part of the intake that they're just like, I'm able to share all of the things and she's not telling me to stop. So yeah, I see that like softness on their face when they're not being hurried.
Yeah. Yeah. That's unfortunately, I hear that a lot as well. Patients feel like they're hurried because traditionally they're scheduled in 10 to 15-minute blocks. I hear double, triple books. And then you have physicians that are seeing 30 to 40 patients in clinics per day. So it's an insane amount of patients. And then it's really hard to be heard, or even if they're running behind, they're even more rushed. So I'm seeing that huge niche being grown as literally as we speak because people are realizing patients just want more time to be heard, kind of that concierge experience.
Yeah, the customer service, like the actual true like connection aspect of being a healer. And I feel bad for a lot of the physicians in the industry now because I think that they don't have any control over how their system's being run and they're not able to really connect with their patients. And I see it. I used to see it when I worked, in the hospital and just my own personal experience. And it's really just it's a sad thing.
Yeah, it is. And then how do you work with other, care team members, other clinics or hospitals? What does that look like? Because I know healthcare is a team, obviously. How do you work with if there's something more complex or, beyond your scope?
Most definitely, I do not ever want to work outside of my scope. I think it's really important that we all, you know, stay within our scope to make sure that the patients are getting what they need and that everything is safe. So, if something is outside of my scope and I think patients need to see a medical doctor, then I will refer them out to wherever. I'll take a look in their area and see if I can connect with somebody in their area, feel them out, and then refer over to whoever is like if they needed a cardiologist or nephrologist or somebody to look more deeply into something, then I'm very open to that.
And for your particular work, do you work with everyone across the United States or are you kind of within a geographic region?
I am within a geographic region as a nurse. I work with my license. So that means that I work in the states that I hold licensure, which is right now in California and Arizona. As a demand increases, then I am able to get licenses in other states. And I know things are constantly changing within nursing. So some states already have something called a compact licensure. And so they're able to work in multiple states just from that one state that they have their license in. California is California and they're not on board yet, it looks like, to have that compact state licensure. So it's a one state at a time while I'm still living in California. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like there's some opportunity though in the future, which is good. Yeah. And like another kind of like day to day question, things you're working through. What's working really well right now that you would never want to lose?
I mean, I what's working really well is the time that I'm able to spend with my patients. That's something I don't want to lose. I think that's so key. So even if something were to scale, I would still want to make sure that I don't scale in a way that takes away my ability to have that one-on-one connection with my patients. So to me, that's really important.
Yeah, that's really valuable to build that rapport over time and gain their trust. And then looking at the opposite end of the spectrum, what's been harder than expected despite the effort you've put in?
As far as working with the patients or just in a overall in the business.
Yeah, just in the business and the functional nursing space.
I think it's for me, my biggest challenge is honestly is like the social media aspect of things or just getting the word out of what functional nursing is because it's so new. So that would probably be the biggest challenge that I'm having that I would want to figure out a better way to get the word out there. Yeah.
Yeah, for some people to learn more about you and get that out there, the word. And then if you were to solve like all these, bottlenecks, what would success look like in 6 to 12 months?
Success would look like patients are having their inquiries, their messages about receiving care responded within, I would say like 10 minutes, like that there's an automation set up, probably quicker out there, I'm sure. Um, that setup really streamlined that they're able to self book very easily and that they get the automation reminders in a timely fashion. What else? I would like to have I would like to have a retreat set up. I would like to have, because a lot of this is virtual. So if I was able to create a space to actually meet a lot of these patients in person at a retreat in the next 6 to 12 months, I think that would be the ultimate. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be success for me.
yeah, that would be amazing to get that group, the camaraderie, and then people can learn from each other as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think that would be, yeah, amazing.
And
Yeah.
then even looking even further down the road, say you set up your response times, get that working really well, social media, getting your word out there. What does it look like beyond that time period?
For me, I think that if I was able to have all that stuff streamlined, then I would be able to grow and collaborate with more practitioners and hopefully get more functional nurses on board to create a stronger team, and have health coaches on board and have more, maybe like nutritionists, and other naturopaths or homeopaths, like have a real nice collective going. That would be really amazing as well.
That would be have a good team to work from and bounce ideas off of.
Mhm.
And now that we're getting to the end of the podcast, where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more about functional nursing?
Yeah, they can find me on my Instagram. It's champion underscore health underscore in underscore wellness. I think I'm going to change that because it's a little hard for people to find. But that's on my Instagram. You'll probably find me the most active on.
Okay.
And you can find me on my website. It's championhealthandwellness.com. And yeah, I would love to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for your time today. It was a wonderful discussion.
Yeah, thanks, John. I
Welcome.
really, really enjoyed being here.
I as well. Thank you.